Okay, I think this is working. I hope this is working. First things first, can everybody hear me? Can you see me as well? Is probably a better question. Hello, James, Sasha. I'm hearable. Thank you, Philip. Thank you very much. Kudo, so excited. Usually at work on weekends. Oh, thank. Oh no, you're sick. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that sucks. Well, I hope this does get you in the Bond mood anyway. I actually started ever so slightly early. Good afternoon, Gordon. Deacon, hi, Trippy, Matthew Sutton, George Pryor, hello, hello, hello. Omar Zambon, you're here. Sean, Noah, hello. Well, thank you for joining me, everyone. Madeline, Gary, Ben, Daniel, any more James Bond Jr. reviews? Well, we'll have to get into that, actually. But first things first, I'm going to pour myself a drink. Slightly unimaginable this time. I'm going with the old GoldenEye Jack Daniels. Hey, David. Thank you very much. Cheers. How did you celebrate the 70th anniversary? You know what? I didn't actually do much for the 70th Fleming anniversary. Read a bit of John Gardner, so I think that's the opposite of celebrating. No, actually, funnily enough, I didn't actually do much on the day. Yeah. This is the celebration. Quite right, James Atkinson. Quite right. So, cheers. Just like M in the film, I'm going to have the first one neat, and then I do have an already opened because I did already have a little bit of Coke earlier on, so I just have half a can there for don't want things to get too rowdy. It is a Saturday night after all. Madeline, John Gardner continuing to make you lose your mind. Quite right. Yes. Well, cheers, everyone. Happy Saturday. Thank you very much for joining me, by the way. I don't normally do these on Saturdays, but yeah. Well, cheers. I love that. I love that M drinks Jack Daniels, so I just have an excuse to drink my go-to drink on this channel. So I should explain why I'm doing this on Saturday. There won't be a video tomorrow, so that's why I'm doing this. Reason being, I'm dedicating all of my time to a massive, in-depth NightFire review, which has been on the back burner for some time now. And originally I wanted to have it out in like November last year for the 20th anniversary. But it was just so big to put together, really, just like capturing all the footage. I recorded a bunch on, I'm recording on an emulator for better video quality this time, which is something that I've not done before with the GameCube era games. And I was doing it on one emulator, and it was, I thought it looked really good. It was OpenEMU. And then I upgraded my Mac, and for some reason I couldn't record it the same, like do the screen record thing. So I was like, oh God, I'm going to have to look into other emulators. So I downloaded the Dolphin emulator, and the quality was insane. Like, I'm going to have to post something on my channel just to show you the difference in the emulator quality. So I was like, going to have to do this all again. It's not a bad thing to replay NightFire, but that's the reason why I'm doing this, because the, NightFire review is taking up much of my time. It's going to be about 2 hours. I don't know if it'll beat the No Time to Die video to be the longest one on the channel, but maybe. We'll see. Zachary Antle, thank you very much. I'm trying to redo the color grade of Twine in Resolve, but my God, it's being difficult, especially skin tones turn out too red. Rips hair out. That's interesting. I did see Tom Mason, who's a lovely member of the Bond community on Twitter. He color graded Spectre to remove the kind of, the yellowy filter that I don't know if many people like very much. And it looked stunning. It looked really good. It's really fascinating what people can do with some color correction. Yeah, keep me updated on that. David Kaplan, hello Calvin. Is there any artist that you wish did a song for the Bond films that didn't? Also, how would you grade Craig's films on the whole? Well, Lady Gaga is still my top of my list of, Bond themes, and she might well do one in the future, but I don't know. I think that the ship might well have sailed. So yeah, I don't know about that. Rating the Craig era as a whole is kind of difficult because love 2 of those movies, dislike 2 of those movies, and there's one movie that's kind of right. Actually, no, it's leaning over to the other side. This is No Time to Die. I would have said at one point it was kind of halfway, but I rewatched a bunch of the Bond films last year for the 60th anniversary to kind of hype myself up, and it's slipped. I'm hoping to have another full-on ranking video later this year, to coincide, hopefully, with 2 years since No Time to Die, after it's had time to sink in. So, yeah. Mr. Incredibilis, cheers. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Gary Bryant, on His Majesty's Secret Service, any thoughts? That is, of course, the Charlie Higson book, which has not arrived for me yet. I pre-ordered it on Amazon, and I'm really jealous seeing people posting about it. Tom Sears, James on Radio, posted he had it in his hand on Twitter. I was like, God damn it! Why? I've seen some people got theirs delivered early, or they got them in store and whatnot. So, but no, mine hasn't arrived yet. So I don't know whether I'm going to wait until I've finished, until I get to it chronologically, because I am kind of going through all of the books chronologically still. So I'm kind of like, I don't know if I'll wait or what, but we'll see. Gus Babington, cheers, sir. Which Bond ally would you like to see rebooted in the future? Sheriff J.W. Pepper, Tiger Stacker, etc. Well, obviously, Sheriff Pepper. I would love to see him come back, but the only way I'd be satisfied is if they, if it was Clifton James. I don't think anyone else can do that part. So. King Cobra, favorite aftershave, Calvin? Please don't say Creed. I don't actually use aftershave. I use I just have like a no alcohol sensitive skin moisturizer that I put on, and that's it. Just like Nivea. That's all I do. I'm very I don't wear aftershave. I don't wear any kind of perfume. I wear unscented deodorant. I'm just very like don't. I should probably look more into like what Bond wears. Maybe I'd like some of that. I don't know. Jack McCarthy, what are your top 3 Bond themes? Well, I mean, I do have a video on this channel where I go through them all, so it's a bit ridiculous of me to not remember the exact order of my 3. But when you get asked, questions on different days, and sometimes it does change. But up there for me certainly are Skyfall, You Know My Name. Possibly Nobody Does It Better. I've really fallen in love with that song recently. Zachary Antle. I also have my New Hope Does Bond list for directors. Carey again, Catherine Bigelow, Joe Wright, Tom Ford. Ari Aster would be very interesting. I would love to see his Bond film, the director of Hereditary, obviously. And Beau Is Not Afraid. He would do something crazy. I don't really know if I have a top choice. At one point, I would have said Cary Fukunaga again. But yeah, now I don't know. With the whole controversy, about him, I don't think they're gonna bring him back. Mr. Incredibilis, we know that From Russia with Love made for a fairly good video game adaptation, but I'm wondering vice versa. What 007 game would you think make a good movie in reverse? Agent Under Fire. Definitely Agent Under Fire. I would love to see that. Just Bond cloning, I think, is a really untapped potential for a Bond story to go. I think that would be very exciting. On Daffyd Brooks again. Will you do a triple X review before or after your Died in the Day review? Xmas 2002 is interesting. You know what? That's actually a really good idea, because those films, I remember seeing both of them at the cinema, and they are very similar. I think that's a good double bill, actually. I think I'm gonna steal that from you, Daffyd. Paul Hewitt, cheers. Daniel Evans, are you doing any new videos with David Zaritsky? There are still a handful of films you haven't discussed. Yes. We don't actually have any penciled in at the moment. The ball is in my court, because my channel is the next one to put one up on. I've been so busy with work recently, as well as a few other commitments, that I've just been like, organizing the time. And I don't like to, if I agree to a time, I like to agree to it and make it happen no matter what. I don't like sort of be, oh no, next, can we move this a week or whatever. So yeah, when I have my some more time back, certainly. Uh Zach Marsh. Hello, sir. Do you still feel the same way about the ending of No Time to Die overall? Have the specifics behind your feelings changed even in a small way? No, if I'm perfectly honest. It really hasn't. I wish I could say it has, but if anything, I kind of like it less and less every time, which isn't. Yeah, I don't know. It's slipping down the rankings, and I know you really like it, Zach. So I'm sorry. Very jealous of people who do actually really like that ending and do have some emotional impact. But yeah. Omar Zambon, how's your 4K collecting going? It's going very well, actually. I have a very small collection. To be honest, I don't know if my TV's maybe a little old for it now. I don't know if it's quite optimized for 4K, but I would like to yeah, hopefully add the Bond films in there someday. I still don't have I've held off the Daniel Craig 4K set for so long because I was like, well, obviously they're going to do a full set and it's going to be a part of that. So the only Bond film that I have on 4K is No Time to Die. And it looks great. Looks really good. But I would love to see some of those classic Bond films on 4K. Moonraker would just look, Spy Who Loved Me, like those classics with the locations and You Only Live Twice would be fantastic in 4K. Hopefully, I think we'll get them at Christmas time. So hopefully this year, we'll see. Matthew Cressel. Any update when we'll see your NightFire retrospective video you mentioned late last year? Yes, indeed. I mentioned it at the very top of this live stream because that is why I'm not going to have a video up tomorrow, because I've been dedicating all my time to this NightFire video. It's going to be 2 hours long, maybe more. I've really gone into like, minutia with it. It's really, in depth. So yeah. How expensive would a 4K set be? Well, that's true, Magteeth Matt. I think that is one of the main reasons why we haven't got it, because I think it would have to be at such a level. Like, I think even the Godfather 4K set is still like, here it's like £70 or something like that, and that's 3 films, and I know there's two different cuts of one of them, but it's still like, that's expensive. It's not going to be like the Bond 50 Blu-ray set. When that came out, it was like, what was it, 22 films? Here, I think it was £90, which particularly at that time, for that many films on Blu-ray, was a steal. Zachary Antle, Pedro Pascal as a villain or the next Felix? Oh, I do really like Pedro Pascal. I really enjoyed the zombie thing. What was it called? The Last of Us. I really enjoyed that. And he's great. So I would like him as Felix, actually. I think he'd be a really cool Felix. Right. Any plans for another collaboration with License to Queer? That's another one. We talked about it not that long ago. I would like to at some point. Yeah. I have to start thinking up some ideas. Who's your favorite Harry Potter character? Mine is Hagrid. I'm not actually that big a Harry Potter fan. Let me see. I like the first film. I like the third and the fourth one. And I kind of like the last one because it's got like, it's big ending battle and all that kind of stuff. In terms of characters, though, I don't. It would probably be Maggie Smith, McGonagall. She's so much fun in those films, particularly in that last one where it's her and Alan Rickman having a battle with wands. Like, I do love those films for that because they have some of the creme de la creme, like, British actors in these scenarios that you would never get to see. Like, when am I ever going to see Helena Bonham Carter and Julie Walters in a duel? Like, that's just never gonna happen. So yeah. Daniel, would you review NightFire for the PC? I would love to. It's one of those things that my technical know-how is not at a level that I can successfully play it on my Mac. Because I even looked into getting like one of the old discs, but they don't play on the latest versions of the operating system apparently. So I need to find some kind of emulator, something or other. Like, I don't know. It's again one of those things. But at one point, emulators in general would have been beyond my technical capabilities, and now that's how I record footage for Bond video game reviews because it's just so much better. So yeah. Kit Singh, when are you going to get an Omega watch? Well, I've still got my Q swatch here, which I do really like actually. I think it's a very sweet little watch. You can see all the inner workings there. Omega, I don't think I'm gonna get anytime soon. I have a friend who's much more into watches than I am, really knows his stuff. And yeah, I tried a bunch on, and I don't know if they suited me necessarily, which was slightly devastating. They're like, oh, maybe I won't ever have one of these. But hey, put that money towards a housing deposit instead. Red Chan, thank you very much. Oh, David Brooks, do you have an item that you have that David Zaritsky doesn't have? Something that's UK only, like the Action Man Bond dolls or the 007 cap gun? You got to get it, Calvin. You know what? I don't actually know. I would be surprised if there was anything that I had that David didn't have, because his collection is just like insane, unbeatable. It's like, I'm really hoping to get over there someday to have a look at it firsthand. I do actually have this. You've probably seen this in some videos of mine. Oh, need to be careful with it because the roof might fall off. But this gold Aston Martin DB5, which I think is a Danbury Mint one. I think it's Danbury Mint. Yeah, the Danbury Mint, which is quite nice. Oh my god, the thing just popped off. That's see what I mean about it being fragile? Yeah, so that just kind of needs seeing too. But it is a lovely little thing. I have it on a little display stand here. Very nice. So I don't know if David has that. I've never seen it in one of his videos anyway. Samadia, thank you very much. Idea for a video, a ranking of Bond film composers, though we know who will be number one. Michel Legrand should get a dishonorable mention. That's not a bad shout, actually. I did do a live stream a while ago where I went through, my ranking of the soundtracks. But I think to rank the composers would be interesting, because there's somewhere that, like even with, John Barry, there's a mix of, there's some that I like more than others. I think it'd be interesting to kind of do some kind of, wrap up. Zachary, thank you very much. I also have a Bond girl hopeful list. Krista Kosonen, Shilpa Shetty, Anna Torv, and Lupita Nyong'o would be amazing. I would love it if Lupita Nyong'o did a Bond film. I've not seen her in a film actually recently. I think the last thing... God, what was the last thing I saw her in? Was it Us? I think it might have been Us. Muskrat Mike, most quoted Bond line in everyday life. Believe it or not, I actually say this one's probably quite disappointing. In Live and Let Die, where Bond goes into the shop and the lady says, are you looking for anything, or can I help you, or whatever? And he says, just browsing, thank you. I say that anytime anyone asks me for, if I need help in a shop or whatever, I'm like, just browsing, thank you. So it's probably that. I don't put on the Roger Moore voice. I might have done once, but that was it. Steve Howard Trevor, thank you very much. Marry, Snog, Kill, Brosnan, Lazenby, and Mrs. Bell. That's brilliant. Oh, that's fantastic. Right. Marry Brosnan, Snog, Mrs. Bell, and kill Lazenby. I think, yeah, that's about right. Let me know if you'd have a different order there. Oh, Matthew Sutton, hi, I'm very well. I hope you are as well. Really loved your GoldenEye playthrough. And do you plan to do any of the other games in this format? Yes, I would absolutely love to do, like, certainly all of the GameCube, PS2 era ones. Like, now that I've got, a steady emulator thing working, I would love to. Like I said, I've got this NightFire video coming. Fingers crossed next week. If not, it'll be the week after. But then whenever after that, I would like to do a live stream of NightFire. Maybe that'll be a bit overload, actually. Maybe I'd do Agent Under Fire instead. But yeah, I would, very much like to. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Thank you. I was really nervous about that, like building up to it, because I'd never done anything like that before. If I do a live stream, it tends to be a a webcam Q&A thing like this. So I had a, a thing, and I had to like get all of the windows up and stuff. And it was quite nerve-wracking, but it went really well. Just, from a technical perspective, it seemed to work. So I'm pleased. Michael Witherley, thank you very much. Calvin, you're a delight. Thank you, Michael. if your intention was to make me blush, you may well be doing that. Thanks for your upbeat and positive presence and wonderful videos. That is so kind. Thank you very much. That's lovely. Thank you. Paul George, good evening, Calvin. Are those Fleming first editions in the cases behind you? Yes, they are. So this is, I've been wondering whether or not I should talk about these on the channel, because these were the result of a bit of an extravagant Vegas flutter. So I'll get them up here. Because when I was in Vegas, they had an old bookstore, and these were there. And after a little bit of, won a little money on the old, and a fair amount of haggling, I came away with The Spy Who Loved Me. They're in cases now to protect them. And The Man with the Golden Gun. This is not The Man with the Golden Gun because I'll show you the, I'm going to be very careful with these. On the true first edition of The Man with the Golden Gun, it has a golden gun embossed in the front, much like The Spy Who Loved Me has a dagger embossed in the front. This does not have the golden gun embossed because I think that's like ridiculously expensive. They only printed so many of them. But I was really like, my Bond collection is actually quite small. Like, it is mainly kind of what you see here, and then I have a couple of boxes of, the cars and the films, and that's kind of it. I don't really do that much collecting. And then I saw these, and I was kind of like, you know what? Let's do this. Let's go down this slippery slope, and I have to get them all now. But I do just love the covers. The first Bond book that I ever got was this, From Russia with Love, which is not a first edition. This is a book club version, which I bought for, not sure if you can see that, £4 at a second-hand bookshop in Haworth in Northern England. And it's, but this was the first Bond book that I read. I left the dust cover at home, and I took the book with me on a holiday. And yeah, so I'm going to get a case for that. It's not a first edition, but it means a lot to me. And I love that cover. That is probably my favorite Bond book cover of all time. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. But yeah. All right, sorry, I've missed a few messages here. Zachary, how much on the next film being about AI? You know what? That hadn't actually crossed my mind, but I think you might be onto something there. Bond films do like to stay in the, in the current, what's the word I'm looking for? Zeitgeist. And of course, those Timothy Dalton. That one of the ideas for a third film would have seen him sort of go up against a robot Terminator kind of thing. So they could well revive that. Daniel Howes. How about Matthew Lewis as Bond? Matthew Lewis is Neville Longbottom, isn't he? I'm going to have a look at this. He is Neville Longbottom. Yeah, you know what? He's actually, it could happen. I would be, they'd be certainly, appeasing a millennial audience by going for someone as known as him, I would say. Daffyd, again, thank you very much. I'd love for you to do a reaction video of Bond VHS, DVD, and Blu-ray trailer montages. Looking for a little peace and quiet? Didn't think so. You know what? I do actually want to do a video about Bond ads, because I have seen some really good ones over time. There's a really nice one where it was John Cleese advertising Schweppes. I highly recommend looking this up on YouTube. It was included on the License to Kill VHS, I think, and it's John Cleese going around a manor house, and he's got a can of Schweppes, and there's people trying to kill him, and he's just oblivious to it. It's like very classic John Cleese stuff. But it was really nice. I would like to do a video about, Bond trailers like that, where it's, it's not just, I don't know, that there's, some artistry involved, like, because you can become really nostalgic for some ads and trailers and stuff. I think everyone loves that original GoldenEye teaser trailer. Minimum Wage Entertainment, that's a fantastic name. Thank you very much. Love your videos, and thank you for being one of the things that helped me get through the pandemic. That's really nice. Thank you. Non-Bond review idea, The Matador, Pierce Brosnan stars. That has been on my list for yeah, I need to get to that someday. I've heard it's really good. I always got it mixed up with is it After Sunset? There's a film that he does with Woody Harrelson. And I always got The Matador mixed up with that. So I thought I'd seen The Matador, but I actually haven't. Thank you very much, Minimum Wage Entertainment. It's very kind of you. Matthew Sutton, will you be at Q the Music Show in October? I sadly will not. I'm really, disappointed that I'm going to be missing it. It's on the 15th of October. My birthday is the 14th of October, and I've already planned to be away, and I'll be traveling back on that day. So sadly, not this time, but it's going to be an amazing show. It looks really, top notch. I was really happy when Warren said that they were coming back. Bar, thank you very much. Have you seen any episodes of The Saint with Roger Moore? Well, The Saint recently won a poll on my Patreon page because I put up a poll of like Bond-related TV shows, Remington Steele, The Saint, and The Saint won. So I will be watching some The Saint on the channel. David Brooks, remember, buy one Bond, get one free VHS days. I do, and I remember, well, that's how I got my first couple of Bond videos. My aunt bought one Bond Moonraker and got Diamonds Are Forever free. So those are my very first Bond films. Blue Moon 95, thank you very much. Upcoming plans for another Bond film review. Started watching your vids since I got back into Bond outside of growing up with Goldeneye, of course. Oh, thank you. The next one will be Tomorrow Never Dies. And it will be after I've done the NightFire video, because that one, like I say, is taking up a lot of my time. And I'm really enjoying putting it together. I'm having so much fun with that one. But yes, after that's done, we'll be moving on to Tomorrow Never Dies. Rob Todd, who are your top 3 artists that you would love to perform a Bond theme? Right, Lady Gaga, absolute number 1. Muse. As for a third, possibly Dua Lipa. I think, she'd do something really upbeat and fun. Like, I'm looking forward to an upbeat, fun Bond theme again. David Brooks, Desmond Llewellyn commercials were great. They really were. Pierce Brosnan stars in... Oh, no, where's it gone? Pierce Brosnan stars the Western Seraphim Falls. Review that one too. Oh, I haven't heard of that. I'm going to have to look into that. James Atkinson. Woody Harrelson Brosnan was After the Sunset with Naomi Harris and Salma Hayek. Yes, it was. Yes, I remember seeing that film at the cinema because I think that was one of the first films he did after Die Another Day. James Atkinson, The Offense. That has been on my shelf. Kiryu. Did you ever see the Connery film he got to do as a favor for Diamonds Are Forever? It's been on my shelf for a while. I would really love to watch it and make a video about it because I think it's very interesting in the history of Bond. Just the fact that Sean Connery made that film as a result of contractual obligations, basically. He said, right, I'll come back for Diamonds Are Forever if you finance the film that I really want to make, which I think is going to be very fascinating to talk about. Zachary Antle, have any ideas for things you'd want to see do in a film? For instance, I want to see a bounty hunter Bond girl or a husband-wife villain pair. That's up there for me, a husband-wife villain pair. Or just another female Bond villain in general, actually. I would really like to have more of that, because I think Elektra King is just brilliant and up there with some of the best, and we just don't have that many main female Bond villains. So that is very much top of my list. Retro Canary. Oh, thank you very much. How would you feel about a Netflix-style James Bond series like HBO are going to do with the Harry Potter books? Ooh, I mean, I don't like the sound of the Harry Potter thing, to be honest. Partly because I think those films are still so relevant and, the CGI holds up. I don't think they're terribly dated. So I don't know. If there were to be a James Bond series, I wouldn't want them to just readapt the books again. I would rather them just do an original thing and, original story. The James Bond animated series is what I'd really like, I think. Philip, thank you very much. Any ongoing show recommendations? Picard, Succession, Barrier Ending. Succession is my obsession at the moment. New Juice, please. Also, Bond plot might be a combo of AI and clones. I would love that. As for ongoing show recommendations, I feel your pain about Succession ending. I've heard really good things about, is it The Night Agent or something? There's a Netflix spy show at the moment, which is supposed to be very good, which I have been meaning to watch. I've heard that new, what's his name? Uh, Richard Madden. He's done a spy series on Amazon, which I hear is not very good. So yeah, maybe give that one a miss, or maybe watch it and make your own mind up. I don't know. Damien Fenton. Hello, Damien. Good to hear from you. Hey, Calvin. In Skyfall, M says, I'll be damned if I'm going to leave the department in worse shape than I found it. Do you think Daniel Craig left the series in worse or better shape than when he took over? That's a really good question. That's a really tough one, because I think that Craig's legacy, like, he's been so popular. Like, Craig has really been popular. Just like I'm talking like outside of Bond community, Bond fandom, just with like general public people. He's, up there with Connery for most people. And yet, I feel like he kind of, everyone loves Casino Royale. Most people love Skyfall, from my experience. Again, I'm talking general public here. Most people that I know, don't really like Quantum very much, don't really like Spectre very much, and No Time to Die left a little bit of a kind of taste in people's mouths. So I'm curious to see how that, because I think it'll, we'll really understand it better when the next Bond comes along. And then, in retrospect, we'll see how Craig's era is handled. I think he's going to get some backlash, like all of the Bonds get, because it's always like, Pierce Brosnan always suddenly ranks, bottom of people's, rankings, but we'll see. Tipster. Thank you. Stumbled upon your channel fairly recently and love it. Keep up the dope content. Thank you very much, Tipster. Appreciate that. John Yoga, thank you very much. Oh, thank you. It's very kind. Question for you. Do you think each Bond movie was a time capsule representing what was happening in society at that time? I do, actually. I think you summed that up really nicely. That's what I like about the Bond films. That's why I'm... Controversial statement coming out here. I'm against them going back in time with Bond films, in the sense that I wouldn't want a Bond film to come out, and then have it set in the 50s or 60s. Because I like that Bond films are time capsules of the days in which they're made, and they reflect the current trends and, what have you. Whereas I think if you go back in time, you lose some of that. And I think it's been such a success for Bond, I don't think they ever would go back in time, because why would they? I mean, the King's Man didn't do so well. The Man from U.N.C.L.E. film set in the 60s didn't do so well financially. I don't know if there's much of there's no kind of big spy box office juggernaut that would, think that they could trend hop. Emma Jones, have you watched the show? Have you watched Slow Horses? No, but I really want to watch that. That's Gary Oldman and what's her name? Oh God, she's a really good actress as well. I really like her. Kristen Scott Thomas. Yes. No, but I've heard excellent things. I don't have Apple TV at the moment. Maybe when I get a free trial. Dafford Brooks, have you seen Death Train? Brosnan's pre-Bond action movie. Patrick Stewart is basically Evan Christopher Lee's in it. Oh my God, I didn't know that. All right, I'm gonna have to get that watched now, because that's insane. Christopher Lee's in it. That's brilliant. Oh, Philip, another tip just for Succession love. Thank you very much. I love Succession. I'm going to have to talk a little bit about Brian Cox being the controller in 007 Road to a Million as well. I did have that at the top of my list as a potential topic, but yeah, I have to give my feelings on that. Oh, Cornel. Hello, Cornel. Good evening. Oh, John Rain. Thank you very much, sir. That's very kind of you. John Rain of Smirsh Pod there. One of my very favorite Bond podcasts. Though he does branch out now and do, well, you always have, I suppose, done other movies and whatnot. But really enjoyed all the... Yeah, because you did do the Star Wars films. I really enjoyed those. I still really love Smirsh Pod. My favorite episode, I think, was the A View to a Kill one that you did with Dan. And yeah, talking about Bond and Tibbet. looking like dads picking their daughters up from the disco. That just sticks in my mind now every time I see them go out in their jogging suits to, yeah. Very good. Oh, thank you very much. Corey, favorite non-Bond film from each Bond actor? Oh, that's a good question. Connery would have to be. Oh, this is tough. Connery's made a lot of really good films. It is probably either Last Crusade or Marnie, the Hitchcock film. Love that film. George Lazenby. I've only seen one of the George Lazenby non-Bond film, and even that I wouldn't cite as being positive. God, what was it called? Oh, Universal Soldier. That was it. Roger Moore. Roger Moore. What would be my favorite non-Bond Roger Moore film? You know what? I'm going to have a quick look on Letterboxd because I'm fairly sure I will have rated. Because I don't want to miss a really obvious one. Right, let me see. I don't know, really. Actually, I don't know if I've really loved. I liked Gold. I like The Wild Geese. Oh no, The Man Who Haunted Himself. Definitely The Man Who Haunted Himself. That is highly recommend that film for Roger Moore. Timothy Dalton. Hot Fuzz. Pierce Brosnan. Is it bad if I say Mrs. Doubtfire? Dante's Peak, though, I really like. Mars Attacks, I really like. Brosnan's been in a lot of good films as well, actually. And for Craig, Craig's another tough one. Possibly The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I really like that. Oh, Zach Neal, thank you very much. Very kind. I'm gonna have to top up my drink soon. Simon Jordan, yes, Thomas Crown Affair for Brosnan. Really good. That Random Bloke Layer Cake. Layer Cake, I know people rave about that. I didn't love it. And I think I'm very much in a minority here for saying that. Matthew Vaughn films always. I really like the first Kingsman. Actually, I quite like Golden Circle as well. I shouldn't really say that his films rub me up the wrong way because I really like those two. And Knives Out for Craig as well. Of course, DC Flake. Thank you very much. Ghostwriter as well. Yes. That's a really good Brosnan film. I was like, I hope you bring up Robert Elswit's cinematography in your Tomorrow Never Dies video. Love how it looks. Also, he did Boogie Nights, There Will Be Blood. He did There Will Be Blood. A Nightcrawler. Bloody hell, I didn't realize that. Tomorrow Never Dies has a lot of very underrated elements, I think. Yeah, I think it looks quite lovely as well. But yeah, before I forget, Brian Cox as the controller in the 007's Road to a Million. I'm fascinated to see what that reality show turns out like. I've not made a video on it yet because I just kind of want to wait for it to come out and then I'll, because I have no clue what it's going to look like. I guessed it was, from everything, I guess it's, reality show. There's going to be teams of people and it's like, you must jump off the dam just like James Bond did in GoldenEye. And then when you get to the bottom, you probably have to catch a card with a question on it which says how many Bond films did Sean Connery star in, and you need to answer that while you're bouncing up and down. I'm assuming it's going to be something like that. But then they got Brian Cox involved as a fictional character, and that's really interesting because they were filming, I know from the application process thing, I didn't apply but just from what I've seen online, they were filming, or they started filming late last year, I think. So I wonder how much of it is in the can, and the Brian Cox stuff is all scripted kind of wraparound stuff to put some of the tasks into context or whatever. I imagine he's going to be kind of like the banker in Deal or No Deal. A really, high-end, high-class actor banker, calling up the contestants and saying, did you know that, I don't know, Timothy Dalton really did cling on to this van as it went over the cliff or whatever, something like that. You must do that too. Yeah, it's going to be weird and interesting. And I thought that the comments from Barbara Broccoli and Michael G. Wilson were kind of hilarious when they were talking about. Yeah, they said something about like how Barbara Broccoli was like, "Oh, well, we had to, make sure that it wouldn't be too dangerous for the contestants because when we do stunts, they're done by proper professionals and all that kind of stuff." And I was like, "All right, yeah, PR hype, PR hype." And then Michael G. Wilson chipped in at the end saying like, "Yes, so we can confirm that they're not actually going to be in any danger. It's great." And I was like, that's a really weird thing to put out in the PR. Like I thought in this kind of show, you want to sort of make a thing out of the danger. And like, like when you watch I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, which is a show here in the UK, they put celebrities in jungles and they have them sort of like, in a bucket with a bunch of snakes suspended over a cliff or something like that. And they're always like, oh, it's very dangerous. And obviously it's not, because it's a reality show. They're not going to actually kill a contestant or run the risk of killing a contestant. And the fact that Michael G. Wilson and Barbara Broccoli seem to be genuinely concerned, I thought was very weird and interesting. And then they're boasting about like how, it's not dangerous actually. It's like, oh, great. Well, don't let them lead the promo tour. Zach Neal, Avtak in the party scene. Do you think James got a little drunk and most of the photos taken with the Ring camera were of the sky at his shoes? I would love that. I would love to see the scene where Q like is, developing the film and he's like just seeing a bunch of people's shoes, this part of Carl Mortner's head and that's it, the corner of the thing. Gator159, thank you very much. Did you get the super chat I sent here Thursday? Oh, I don't think I did. If I did, I didn't, because it only stores the chat for so long. Gator, if you want to ask a specific question, please put it in the chat and I'll keep an eye out for it. Don't do the super chat. Obviously, I'll look for it. Ruben, what's your opinion of the Young Bond books? I haven't read them yet. I will get to them eventually, but I'm trying my best to go through the books in a chronological order, which is, what am I on? I've got 5 more Gardeners after. I'm coming to the end of The Man from Barbarossa, which was a chore. But then 5 more, including the GoldenEye novelization, which I'm really looking forward to reading. And then I'll be moving on. David, will you be interested to see you review Metal Gear Solid? Yes, not just because of the No Time to Die relevance, but because it's hailed as a phenomenon in games. That's one that I've been meaning to get to for a while because I've never played them. But people rave about them. I really should. Emmanuel Toribio, thank you very much. Have you had the chance to meet a Bond actor in real life or anyone tangentially related to the movies? What's your favorite Bond memorabilia that you own? In Bond actor, I met Roger Moore at a book signing, which was just like, the best thing. This is his signature there. Got a photo of him signing it. It was like, I was so nervous though. All I could say was like, oh no, actually, I was so nervous. I said, hello. And he signed his thing and said, thank you very much for buying my book. And I was just like, oh, thank you for writing it. And then scurried away. Just terrified. Yeah, but he was lovely. I saw Pierce Brosnan in Iceland of all places in a spa where he was just there with his wife, but it just wasn't the appropriate setting for me when we're like all in our swimming trunks for me to be like, Mr. Brosnan, hello, I'm a massive fan. I just couldn't do it. So yeah. Recently I met Madeline Smith at a Cue the Music concert. She was absolutely lovely and so full of energy, and I was literally the last person in the autograph queue. And she stuck around for ages after the show. Like there was hardly anyone left in the building when I was there, but she signed everyone's programs. She was just so sweet. And I actually met Lynn Holly Johnson at the Bond concert at the Albert Hall last year, very briefly. But there was a photo with her and a few friends, Paul Lally, Thomas Ryan. I think it was one of them actually, who she was just walking back past and they went, Lynn Holly Johnson. And she was like, oh, hello. And then she was like, oh, can we get a photo? So I just sort of went and said, hi. She was lovely though. Very nice. I've heard very good things about her in general, to be quite honest. All right. Oh, Mission Impossible for the N64. Yes, Gator 159. That's also something that I've wanted to play. Some of the Mission Impossible games. Quite looking forward to the next one. I'm actually kind of on the hype train now. EK, thank you very much for that. That's very kind of you. Oh, Zach Cherry. Hello, Zach Cherry. Love Zach's channel. He reviews all like slasher movies from my childhood. Scream. Yeah. Keep up the great work, Zach. Love your stuff. Because that's it. I'm actually quite a big horror geek. I don't know if I ever really have much of an opportunity to talk about it on this channel, but actually, Dabian Donaldson, Mila Jovovich as a Bond girl. I would love Mila Jovovich, and I have actually thought about maybe someday looking at the Resident Evil films on this channel because they are some of my guilty pleasure movies. Yeah. Oh, EK, thank you very much. Again, thank you. Oh, John Doe, feelings on Plenty O'Toole. I like Plenty O'Toole. I think Diamonds Are Forever is a film full of really fun, interesting characters, comedic characters. And she's just one in a great ensemble. But yeah, I like her a lot. I really wish that deleted material where she walked in on Bond and Tiffany was included in the final film. That would have been nice. When are you doing another blog with David Z? Hopefully not too long. Like I said, the ball is in my court. Just been very busy with work recently and with time differences and whatnot. And he's a very busy guy. So yeah, hopefully we can make it work some point soon. Not sure why John F. Johnson is saying dinosaur. For a second, then I was like, wait a minute, have I got something dinosaur around me? But I don't think. James, have you seen The Mummy with Brendan Fraser? That is one of my, oh my God, The Mummy Returns in particular is one of my favorite childhood films. Yeah, I really like The Mummy. Mummy Returns, though, is probably my favorite of those films. And I would like to actually get to talking about those someday because obviously Michelle Yeoh is in the third one, which is pretty cool. What's your most controversial take on the James Bond series? Oh, that's good because I think the lovely thing about the Bond series is that every film and almost every element has a champion. I don't know of anything where someone hasn't said like at least like, oh, I actually kind of like that. Like even like Elvis in Quantum of Solace. I'm trying to think of what my hot take is. But I don't know because because like I say, I don't feel like I feel like every area of Bond is represented positively by some area of the community or someone. And that's really lovely. So I don't know if there's one particular. I don't know. Maybe thinking. Maybe a love of Sheriff J.W. Pepper. I don't know if that's just because I'm just staring at the Billy's Bond art painting that I have on the wall over there. Redac 12. As the Bond series is trying to be more progressive, at least on a surface level, do you think we'll ever see a trans Bond girl or even a trans Bond? Well, in For Your Eyes Only, there is I don't know if she counts as a trans Bond girl, but one of the girls around the pool, Locke's pool, is trans. Or was. I'm not sure if she's still alive. I don't know. Maybe as a supporting character in the future. I don't know because I think that they're going to be quite conscious about not rocking the boat too much or becoming a big part of a culture war kind of thing. Like they kind of did with Nomi, to be perfectly honest, being 007 in No Time to Die, and that all ended up being a bit of a storm in a teapot. So I don't know really. It'd be interesting though if they ever did. Daffyd, get the German Region 2 version of Death Train, trust me. Okay. I'm going to make a note of that. German DVD Death Train. I'm going to get on eBay after this. make some drunken purchases. Matthew Sutton, do you think that Barbara Broccoli has lost her passion for making Bond films? Do you think the franchise should be sold? There is something to be said about we would probably get things more frequently if it was sold, which would maybe not be a bad thing. But then I do like that the Bond films do have the kind of family, atmosphere vibe to them. They do feel like these special bespoke things, and I like that they exist like that in this hyper franchised, hyper corporate, movie environment. So I'm adding some Coke to my Jack Daniels now. But I do think that she's certainly, if she was passionate about it, she'd be making them. It's like, because I know that her thing is always like, oh well, we take our time with these things, but well, if you kind of wanted to, you would be doing it. So yeah, I think that she possibly has. I think she had a lot of passion for Daniel Craig as James Bond. And I think, we're going to be hoping that she has a similar passion for whoever comes next if we want to see films at a somewhat reliable rate. Sebastian Fitzpatrick, hello. Isn't GoldenEye an rate? Sebastian Fitzpatrick, hello. Isn't GoldenEye an atmospheric and distinct film? I think so. I think it's very distinct in the filmography. Even I think even in Brosnan's run, the other 3 films he's done all have the feeling of there's some connective tissue, even though they're changing directors and all that. And maybe it's the score. I don't know. But GoldenEye does stand out as something quite different. I think you really feel it. I don't know. There's something about the effects, how it looks, how it feels. I very much agree. I think it is very distinct in the filmography. Sean Sheridan, would you like the Bond series to end at some stage rather than be plagued by bad movies? Example like the MCU is now the longer it has gone on. Well, I quite agree there. I don't think we'll ever get Bond films at a rate that, the MCU put out films, which I think is a good thing, because I think the MCU is completely... I haven't watched them since... What was the last one I watched? I didn't see Love and Thunder. I didn't see Ant-Man. I'm... I really liked some of them. I thought Endgame was amazing. I liked Black Widow. I liked the Captain America films. I really like Iron Man 3, actually. That might be my hot take of the MCU. I think that's one of my favorites of that. Yeah. Zach, how would you feel about Brosnan coming back for one more film, or is it too late? I would love it. But I think I would almost like it as like a straight to Amazon Prime exclusive kind of thing, rather than a part of the main series. Yeah. But yeah, if I could just have it as a one-off, like I would absolutely love that. Just one to wrap up his tenure would be brilliant. But then they'd probably want to kill him off at the end to make it a real wrap-up, and I wouldn't want him to die. Blue Moon 95, have you seen Highlander? If so, what is your opinion on it? Is probably my favorite non-Bond Sean Connery film next Last Crusade. Well, thank you very much, Blue Moon 95. And I have not yet seen Highlander. I have the Blu-ray on my shelf, and it has been there for a little while, and I need to see it because Sean Connery as a Spanish... What is it? Conquistador? Is that the right word? Like, I'm like, yep, I'm there. Oh, Jacob Kilby, thank you very much. What are your expectations for Indy 5? I'm very hyped about that. I love the first 3 Indy films. I think the 4th one is all right. It's got issues, but it is what it is at this point. And I love what I've seen. Mads Mikkelsen's in it, and I love seeing him in anything. Actually, but speaking of Mads Mikkelsen, Another Round. If that film is still on Netflix here in the UK, I highly recommend it. Really enjoyed that. I'm just gonna have a look. It's a Danish film. Mads Mikkelsen plays a depressed teacher. And him and his friends have it is on Netflix here in the UK. Oh, excellent. People should check that out. I thought that was like a 5-star film, and he was amazing in it. The Hunt as well is another Mads Mikkelsen film. Like, I'm very excited to see him in anything. But yes, Indy 5, really looking forward to it. Highlander 2 and Avengers might be the bottom for Connery. Yeah, is he in Highlander 2? God, I thought that they'd gotten someone else in that, because he doesn't normally do sequels, does he? Zardoz is good fun. 90s Sean Connery sci-fi film. Okay. Oh no, wait, yes, I have seen Zardoz. Of course I've seen Zardoz. How could I not? Yeah. Uh, that is that film is something else. Yeah. I uh I think I'm kind of on the hype train with it. Like I do really like it. Um yeah, no, it's very good. Oh, which Bond actor do you think got the best ending? Oh, that's a good question. Possibly Connery? Yeah, I really like that ending with him and Tiffany Case on the boat at the end. I think it's really nice. How are we going to get those diamonds back down? That last shot of them, of the both of them looking up into the sky, I think is really nice. Um, yeah, probably Connery. What is your opinion about anime, Japanese animation? I am a fan of Studio Ghibli movies. Um, I don't know if I've got much. I've seen Perfect Blue. I really enjoyed that. Akira, I did not love, but I want to revisit that because I watched it when I was really ill one time, and I don't think it's the film that you should watch when you're ill. Has Vespa always been your favorite Bond girl? Thank you, Sasha. She has been for a very long time. Natalia Simonova was my previous favorite, and she's still up there. Oh, Sam! Hi, Sam R. I'm having a great stream. Thank you very much. It's an excuse to for me to drink while I'm home alone, basically. Oh, Retro Canary. Do you have any thoughts on 24? I loved 24. I was obsessed with that series, particularly around season 5. Which I think anyone who has seen the show will know was just like next level. Yeah, no, really, really brilliant. Loved season 5. Every week was just like nail biting tension. I would love to see another espionage show, like, and getting as invested in it as I did in that. I guess I got fairly invested in Line of Duty, which was a BBC series here. Not really espionage, but it was police. And it certainly escalates, as the series go on. Really enjoyed that. Tyler, which Bond do you think is the best looking? Oh, that's interesting. It would probably be Brosnan or Moore. But even then, I know that some people might disagree because, Connery and Craig are much more rugged, handsome, whereas I think Roger Moore and Pierce Brosnan are a little bit more sort of, conventionally attractive, shall we say. Oh, Aaron Jarvis, what are your thoughts on Halloween Ends? I loved Halloween Ends. I really liked it. That might be my hot take about the Halloween series, actually, because I thought it was a really satisfying wrap up to those David Gordon Green films. I really enjoyed it. And I know that's somewhat controversial because I know a lot of people really didn't, and I can see why a lot of people really didn't. But I loved it. I thought it was really good. Samadia, thank you very much. Hot take of your own. You love Brad Whitaker. I love the whole concept of the character, and it's a crime he didn't have far more screen time in The Living Daylights. That is indeed a hot take. But this is what I mean. Like, any element in the Bond films will have a champion, will have someone somewhere that really likes it or even loves it. And that's great. I love that about this series so much. Bond Twitter's always full of, um, takes and comments, appreciations that you didn't really consider, and I'm kind of like, oh yeah. Can you imagine Sean Connery doing Moonraker? Hi, Mikey Sorrentino. You know what? Actually, I do have a poster. Sean Longmore, the genius that is Sean Longmore, whose artwork is adorning my wall. He did do a reimagined poster of if Sean Connery was in Moonraker as adapted more faithfully from Ian Fleming's novel, and I love it. You'll see it in the background of a video coming up soon. David Neighbor, thank you very much. Do you predict the 4K collection will be out this year or 2024? Any plans for a Blu-ray collection video or stream sometime? You know what's that? I do have a fairly sizable Blu-ray collection, so a stream is probably not a bad shout just to run through some films that I might not necessarily get a chance to talk about on this channel. As for the 4K collection, I'm really hoping it is this year. I'm really hoping it's this year. As I say, I think it will be about Christmas time. because these things, they always seem to release them around that time. It's like they release them in October at full price, and then by Christmas time there's some discounts, at places. So I'm hoping that we would get news by like September, but I don't know. They might well do it in waves rather than releasing one big box set. Matthew Sutton, is John Gardner worth reading? Now that's a question. I would recommend reading License Renewed, For Special Services, Icebreaker. Those are the first three. And Nobody Lives Forever I really loved. Actually, loved might be a bit of a strong word. But there's those four. If you read the first two or three, and if you think they're okay, carry on doing it, because it does kind of get more of the same. There's ups and downs, but they are what they are. They're nowhere near as good as Fleming. And The Man from Barbarossa, I read. I made a note of this. It's in my bag in the other room. It's my commute read at the moment. I've only got one chapter to go. There was a line in it where I think Bond's having breakfast or something, and Bond says Bond didn't really like eggs, and I was like, what? I was like, is John Gardner gaslighting me into thinking that, because in the Fleming books he has eggs every chapter. Like he has eggs any which way and laid, full of butter. He's very specific about what copper pan they're cooked in. And then for John Gardner to say, oh, Bond didn't much care for eggs on breakfast, I'm like, that doesn't ring true to me. But anyway. Daffyd, I take it you'll have Lee Tamahori's quotes, Bond movies won't be real anymore. Half of it will and half of it won't in your Die Another Day review frequently. Lee Tamahori's full of some interesting insights. Like his whole thing about the codename theory is just very interesting, that they let someone, who even thought that was a thing, get to helm a Bond film. I find very interesting. YouTube is censoring my comments is a really interesting username. It didn't censor this one anyway, so thank you. If they remade or did a sequel to GoldenEye Rogue Agent, what changes would have to happen? Would you play a sequel to Rogue Agent? I would certainly play it. That's one that I mean to revisit, actually, because I don't have that great memories of it, but I would like to revisit it. Yeah. If they were to do another one, I would love it if you could actually feel like a Bond villain, because I think the problem with it is that it sells itself on being like, oh, you're a Bond villain in this one, isn't that exciting? When actually, when you get into it, it's like, I'm just kind of doing the usual first-person shooter thing, and I'm shooting goons and whatever. So it's, Trevor Tillman, discovered your channel during the height of the pandemic lockdown and have been keeping up since. Thank you for what you do. Well, thank you, Trevor. That's very kind of you. I do appreciate that. Thank you. DC Flake, are you going to get into Raymond Benson? I am indeed. I'm counting down the days until I can get into Raymond Benson. Oh, that could have been better phrased. Into his books, into his Bond books. But I've still got a few more John Gardner ones to go. Kudo, thank you very much. Hey, Calvin, what is your most prized Bond memorabilia? Not necessarily the most expensive, but something that truly means a lot to you when you look at it. That is a very good question. Quite possibly either my Moonraker VHS, which is up in storage, but I would like to get that on display, actually, because that was the first Bond film I ever saw. Or I showed this earlier on, this £4 from a secondhand bookstore from Russia with Love hardcover, which is not a first edition, but it's, from the 50s. You can see there that they don't even have the the future Bond books, because he hadn't written them at this point. So it's really old, but I love that cover. I'm going to get a little case for it like I've got for those ones, because it's just, lovely. The first Bond book I ever read. And I love the cover as well. Savoy, 1984. Great channel, and you genuinely love Never Say Never Again. Well, that's amazing. Cheers to that. Thank you for saying that, if you love Never Say Never Again, because I know I'm quite harsh on it. So that means a lot. Thank you. Deacon Wilson, do you have any Bond soundtracks on vinyl? I do. I've got a few, actually. Skyfall, Live and Let Die. Goldfinger from Russia with Love. Yeah, I got a few. Oh, Michael Weatherly, have you discussed the real possibility of Nolan on Bond 26? You know what? Well, it looks like it could be more and more likely to happen, like depending on what he does after Oppenheimer. If it comes out after Oppenheimer that like, he has his next project, then it's not happening. It could well be Bond. I think, the Broccoli and Wilson would probably quite like to have him on board. He would certainly be a marquee name to sell the film on. Jake Vidmar, thank you very much. Do you see yourself doing an updated Bond film ranking anytime soon? No pressure, of course, just curious. I'm sure it takes a lot of time and effort. Well, I would actually really like to have one ready to go for the 2-year anniversary of No Time to Die, so in like September or October, because No Time to Die has really had plenty of time to settle into the filmography for me now, so I'm just waiting for that to happen. Yeah. Thanks, Jake. By the way, love the channel. Been watching since 2016-ish. That's very kind of you. Thank you so much. Tom Hooley. Raymond Benson books are a real mixed bag. Some excellent, some terrible. Oh, that's interesting. All right, so I'm in for a similar run as what I've had with Gardner, am I? James, coldest James Bond kill. That Dent one still holds up. I think his kill of Dent is fairly brilliant. Kiko in NightFire. I know I'm saying that because I've been working on the NightFire video today, but that is like when he I know it's a video game, but when he raises his eyebrow and presses the button and she drops into beneath the shuttle exhaust, and it's I love that moment in that game. It's so cool. Daffyd, have a great night. Get that German DVD, and you need to watch Highlander in order to get to the greatest movie of all time, Highlander 2: The Quickening. Thank you very much, Daffyd. Thanks for tuning in as always. You're very kind. Always appreciate it. Blue Moon 95. Oh no, not Highlander 2. Philip, yes. Think Nolan did his Bond film with Tenet. I agree. I really need to rewatch Tenet because I saw it at the cinema and that was like a proper we can go back to the cinema kind of thing. Lovely. Sit down, watch a film, and then that's the film, and you're like, I'm not sure I understood any of that. So I would like to rewatch it now, and maybe I'll enjoy it a bit more. I enjoyed it well enough, but yeah, I don't know. Leco237, what is your opinion of Hitchcock's film Frenzy? I love Frenzy. It's actually one of my favorite Hitchcock films. I really, really like that film. I'm hoping that we get the 4K soon because Universal Studios have been releasing Hitchcock 4Ks in waves, and I would really like that to see that one come out. Oh, thank you, Deacon Wilson. Thank you very much. Enjoy your night as well. Favorite Christopher Nolan film? You know what? I really like The Prestige, and I know it probably sounds really wanky of me to say that because it's I don't think it's one of his terribly most high regarded, but I really, really love that film. Otherwise, it would probably be The Dark Knight because it's The Dark Knight. It's amazing. David Neighbor, thank you very much again. US Target exclusive Spectre has a bonus disc with 3 exclusive special features. You might want to track that down. It's a shame the UK missed out. That's interesting. I did not know that. Does anyone know what those special features were? Oren Cook, what's your opinion on Hitchcock's Family Plot? Not good. One of his worst films, dare I say. I'm not a big fan of that one. Jordan Saylor, thank you very much. Have you read any of the Bond graphic novels? They are really good. I do have a few on the shelf, and I did read Varga. The Dynamite ones, right? I've got a few of them there. I really need to get around to them sometime. Because I mainly read on my commute, so it's bringing along one of the Gardner books is fairly easy. Nice fit in your bag and whatever. God, the GoldenEye novelization is really short. It's only like 180 pages. Anyway. Favorite Superman film? You know what, James? It's really interesting you say that because I have only seen the original Superman, the original Christopher Reeve one, and Superman Returns. I know, pity me. And I wanted to rectify that. And the box set, the Blu-ray box set, was really cheap online recently. I think I got it for like 11 quid, something like that, for the 5 films. The 4 Christopher Reeve ones and then the Brandon Ruth one. So I'm hoping to rewatch them soon, because a part of the reason why I want to watch them actually is because I know that Clifton James, Sheriff J.W. Pepper, is in Superman 2, and I would kind of like to do a video about him and like how that all ended up. But I need to watch the film first. Dink! Oh, amazing. I love that your name is Dink. Brilliant. Say goodbye to Felix Dink. Who would your dream Bond director be? Mine would be Park Chan-wook. Dream Bond director? That's a really good question. I don't know if I have one, It's, because Bond directors are the kind of thing where I knew who Sam Mendes was beforehand. I knew who Martin Campbell was beforehand, obviously, when he did Casino Royale. Mark Forster and Kerry Fukunaga, I didn't know who they were, and I thought they were quite surprising choices. And I kind of like that. I kind of like being surprised by it. I would still be really curious to see an Edgar Wright Bond film. I think that would be really interesting. I think Edgar Wright, probably, if I were to pick one. Jack Scorer, what videos are in the pipeline? Well, the big NightFire review is like the main thing that I'm working on at the moment, because it's huge. It's taking time. Like I said, it's going to be like 2 hours long. So there's that. There's, of course, the John Gardner books. And then, yeah, I've got like I have an ideas sheet. But because the NightFire one, because that one's taking up most of my time at the moment, I'm just kind of dedicating myself fully to that. So it's, yeah, not really got anything else on the go at the moment. So yeah, I'll have to get this one out of the way, and then, yeah. Brendan, thank you very much. Have you ever played the arcade game Sly Spy? No, but someone's mentioned that to me before. I think on one of these live streams. I'll have to check it out. I'm going to make a note of this. Sly Spy. Right. Is The Avengers 1998 the worst movie ever? No. I don't know what I would say the worst movie ever is. I really didn't like that Lion King remake that they made a couple of years ago. I thought that was... Yeah. Anyway. Oh, Omar Zambo, thank you very much. Have you seen Evil Dead Rise? No, I haven't, but I would quite like to. I do like the Evil Dead films. In fact, I might have to rewatch them beforehand, because it's been a while since I've watched the Bruce Campbell ones. I've got the Blu-rays on my shelf. Wessex Electric, good evening. Richard Madden rumors on being the next 007. He shared a vodka martini with Stanley Tucci, a little nod perhaps. I did think that video was quite funny. I posted about it on Twitter earlier on because it was so awkward. I highly recommend looking for it. If I've no doubt that they're friends and they were just having a good time and it was just an awkward moment while they were filming a video for social media, but it just looked like a porn baron was taking out like his latest star for a drink. There was something really weird about it. And I love Stanley Tucci. The Stanley Tucci show where he goes around Italy. I love it. I love Stanley Tucci. He's such a classy guy, and I wasn't expecting it. I didn't know much about him. I really like him as an actor, but I didn't know much about him as a person. But seeing that show, I was just like, it was just one of those things. Oh, he just, wears lovely clothes, and he's so stylish, and he just goes around all of these fantastic restaurants and places in Spain, Italy rather. I thought it was just, oh yeah, brilliant. On that Stanley Tucci life. And he has drinks with Richard Madden, so, Oh, Matthew Sutton, thank you very much again. You recently found your 007 magazine collection in your dad's loft. Did you ever collect the magazine? It's a shame there's nothing like it for modern Bond fans. Oh no, I moved the box. I've still got every issue of it in a box. I put the box up there recently because I had a little bit of a move around. No, I've still got the whole thing. I've got all the cards as well. I loved those magazines. They were so much fun. Even though I was only like there was me and a couple of my friends who actually got it, and we had the cards. So the whole trading element was a bit lost because three of us to trade amongst ourselves. And eventually I think we realized we got to a point where it was like, oh, we're all getting the same cards every week, other week, whenever the subscription came. But yeah, no, I really liked that. Some of them were really some of the things that because it's like tips for kids for how to not be seen when you're stalking your victim or whatever. It's like, I'm sure you should really be teaching kids to wear a baseball cap over their head and clothes that they don't normally wear, so that they wouldn't be recognized out in public. But yeah. Oh, thank you very much, Satyendra. Thank you very much. Claire Foyer's M. Oh, I would actually love that. I really loved The Crown, actually. That's and she was brilliant in it. I think those were the best series, her series. Yeah, really good. What if James Bond drank 7-Up, Andrew B? That would make Moonraker all the better if the cable car crashes through that massive 7-Up billboard and just a bunch of cans fly out and Bond and Holly both grab one, and yeah. Hassan, have you watched Succession? Yes, I have, and I love it. My favorite show on at the moment. Highly recommend it to anyone. It's brilliant. Brendan, would you do a review of the 90s cartoon James Bond Jr.? I did a few reviews years and years ago. They're buried way down on the video list. But I've been kind of wondering about relaunching that, just to do like little reviews. But yeah, we'll see. I would like to get back into it, but it's about finding good quality versions of it, because we have been restricted all these years from good quality DVDs, because I think Barbara Broccoli wants to bury it, much like how George Lucas buries the Star Wars Holiday Special. So yeah, I don't know, but we'll see. Daffy Brooks, is the DVD with the skull train on front? Oh, the German DVD Death Train. Excellent. Thank you very much, Daffy. I'm going to keep an eye out for that. I'm going to get on eBay right after this. Oh, Jack Scorer, how did you get into Hitchcock? I think it was through watching The Birds. The Birds was the first film that I saw that really made me want to understand how films were made. And so I just kind of got into it through that, really. I think like one of the British TV channels was having some kind of Hitchcock marathon where they were, showing Hitchcock films like 11 o'clock at night. It was super late, and I had to like set the video record to watch them. But yeah, that was it. And now I'm like huge fan. He's my favorite director. I love Alfred Hitchcock. Jordan Saylor, thank you very much. Best overall Bond soundtracks. My favorite is The Spy Who Loved Me. Oh, that's a good question. My favorites are definitely the David Arnold ones. I really love the Die Another Day soundtrack, and The World Is Not Enough soundtrack, and Tomorrow Never Dies soundtrack. Yeah, they're tucked away. I was going to get out the La La Land CDs because they're brilliant. I'm so happy that we have those. Like, that's like proper holy grail stuff to have those La La Land expanded soundtracks of the David Arnold films. Just brilliant. Oh, Zach Marsh, Strangers on a Train was your first Hitchcock film when you were 5 years old. Good Lord. It's a bit young to be watching Hitchcock, isn't it? I think I was 11 when I saw The Birds. Disco Moonraker theme is the best. Quite right, KJ. Quite right. James Atkinson, dumbest Bond rumor you've ever heard. The one about Daisy May Cooper recently might well have been the dumbest. That she could possibly be M. Not because I made, I said in a video, like, I'm not familiar with her work. I don't, I've not seen her in much. Just I saw her in like Celebrity Gogglebox, which she was on here, but she was herself. She might be brilliant. Like, I don't, I've got friends who really rate her and say she's really good, but as M, like, that I thought was really weird. That was one of those rumors where you wonder, like, where the hell did that come from? How did that like get into a mainstream news outlet? Because that's crazy. What are you drinking? I am drinking a Jack Daniels and Coke Zero. 000. I was disappointed. I don't think they did the Coke 007 thing for No Time to Die, like they have done with some of the previous Bond films. I remember when I used to work at supermarket here in the UK called Tesco, and it was around the time that Casino Royale was coming out. And oh, actually, no, I worked there when Quantum of Solace came out as well, because I remember customers buying the 007 branded Coke, which was, yeah. Could think about Bond when I was at work. It's nice. Paul Mescal as Bond. I've heard people say that. Again, he's another actor who I'm very unfamiliar with his work, but he's kind of exploded recently, and I think he'd be quite, from what I've seen of him, he looks like he has that kind of like rugged but very attractive look that they like to go for. I don't think they would ever really go for a, I don't think Barbara and Michael would go for another kind of Pierce Brosnan, like very conventionally attractive. I think they like that kind of Daniel Craig, like a little bit rugged. You can light him in a certain way and he can look like some, troll. And then you light him another way and he's like, movie star Charlton Heston, chiseled jaw, like just gorgeous and beautiful. I think they like people like that. So, and I think Paul Mescal might well fit into that bracket. Thoughts on Everything Everywhere All at Once? The Michelle Yeoh film, of course, Oscar winner. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. One of my favorite films. I've not been so invested in a particular film winning the Best Picture Oscar before, but I was like, yeah, no, that film I just, absolutely adored. Loved it. Oh, Toby Doss, thank you very much. No question, just want to thank you for your channel. That's very kind. Toby, thank you very much. Ali McMurray, Lady Gaga, and Joker 2 thoughts. Joker, I really didn't like. The first one, the Joaquin Phoenix Joker. It was one of those films where I saw it, I didn't see it at the cinema, I saw it way after, when it had all the Oscar buzz and the amazing box office and all that. I really didn't like it. I thought it was kind of awful, and I didn't get it. I don't get why people love that film so much. I thought it was really miserable, and I was just like, ugh. And then I was infuriated when I saw that Lady Gaga was in Joker 2, because now I'm going to have to watch it because I'll probably really like her in it. So yeah, they've got my money now for Joker 2 on her back. Jordan Saylor, my son, absolutely love your video game reviews. Oh, that's excellent. Well, I hope he really likes the NightFire review, and I hope he has the patience to sit through 2 hours of it. Yeah. Lecco, why do you think Joker is awful? Yeah, no, I know this is one of my real, this is because I know I'm really against the grain on this. I know a lot of people really love it. I didn't think it had any more to it than, I don't understand how, Rob Zombie films are really, poorly reviewed and don't make any money and everyone ignores them, and the film like Joker can come out and do more or less the same thing as far as I'm concerned, like touch on some similar themes and the same kind of real, depressing sort of grossness to it, and it's really acclaimed. But I think because it has the Joker connection, right? It's DC Comics, it's everyone loves that character, and it gets people in to see that kind of a film that normally wouldn't go in to see that kind of a film. But yeah, I thought it was really miserable. I was just really like, oh, this is just and it's not even that it offended my sensibilities or that I don't like gross stuff, because I watch Human Centipede, for Christ's sake. I think that film has more merit than Joker. But no, I just thought it was thoroughly depressing. And yeah, I didn't like it. The Red Comet. Would you rather had Alfonso Cuarón direct Twine instead of Apted? He was apparently considered early on. I do really like Alfonso Cuarón, but I love The World Is Not Enough so much that I wouldn't want to imagine it with anyone else doing it. So I would have to stick with Michael Apted, I'm afraid. Yeah. Abdullah A, thank you very much. I wish Lady Gaga played a Bond villain in the future. I would love her as a Bond villain. I would see her as kind of like a Mayday, kind of hench woman character. I think she'd be really good at that, and she could sing the theme tune as well, which I would really like. A Lady Gaga theme song. Oh, love that. Philip, for joking now. Oh, you don't like it too? Okay. Yeah, poor taxi. Well, yes, the taxi driver thing as well. Actually, I quite agree with that. I think, yeah, the Martin Scorsese film just explores those similar themes in a much more, or engaging for me. Like I say, I know that I'm really going against the grain by not liking that film too much. I know so many people who love it. I've got friends who absolutely love it, and have many great reasons why they love it. But yeah, did not click with me at all. Lady Gaga as J.W. Pepper. Oh, trippy. Favorite Tarantino film? Inglorious Bastards. I love that film so much, which you can imagine my disappointment when Christoph Waltz turned out to not be that great a Blofeld, because I think he's just something special in that film, like just a phenomenal performance. Oh, that scene in the restaurant with Melanie Laurent and getting the cream. I love those shots of when he like scoops up the cream and puts it on the pie, whatever it is that they're eating. Is like, I can't remember, but love that bit so much. I might have to watch that film again soon. I really, really love it. Are you ever gonna do any more Bond comic reviews, Heartbeat City? I will hopefully do someday. I've got a few of them down there, the Dynamite ones. But yeah, we'll see. Like I say, I've got them Gardner ones. I just keep looking at them. They're teasing me. They're taunting me. Some of them are so thick. Like, look at this. Seafire. How long is this? 275 pages. Like, that's just, yeah. But we'll see. So it's all going to be worthwhile to get to that GoldenEye novelization, and the one, I think it's Never Send Flowers, where Bond goes to Disneyland Paris, which I think is just going to be. I can't wait for that. Oh, James, favorite Ridley Scott film? Well, Alien. Has to be Alien. I love the Alien series so much. I even really like Prometheus and Alien Covenant, and I know that ain't a popular opinion, but yeah, I love Prometheus. Yes, I have seen The Martian. Really like that as well, and Sean Bean's in it, of course. And doesn't die? No, he doesn't. One of the few films where Sean Bean does not die. Oh, Zach Marsh. I do know what you think about Everything Everywhere All at Once. I know it's I think, did it overtake Lawrence of Arabia to be your favorite film in the end? I think it might have done. Wait a minute, you've seen it 39 times. Good lord. I've seen it twice. But I really loved both times. Oh, The Last Duel was great as well. Yes, Akis. Carlos Fontes, thank you very much. How would you feel about a Lego James Bond game with all the actors' cars and only certain 007s having gadgets for replay value? Brosnan in The Living Daylights and more in Quantum of Solace. That would be amazing if you could customize your James Bond and play through whatever mission it is, but do like Brosnan in Dr. No. That's genius, Carlos. That is genius. I would love that, actually. Oh, and you could mix and match, like, build, have like, different parts of the Lotus Esprit with different parts of the Aston Martin DB5, and then the Vanquish and a BMW. And, oh yeah, I would love that. Oh god, that'd be so brilliant. I don't think they will ever do it, because I think that the Broccolis are funny about, and you see it when they do some of the the Lego toys and the Playmobil toys. They don't like Toy Bond to have guns. So I think in the Playmobil one he had a wrench or something. I think they're very, again, this links in with some of the comments that they made about the 007 Road to a Million show. They're very funny about danger and violence and the implications of those things. It's kind of odd. Oh, but yeah, Lego Bond game. Oh, the possibilities are limitless. I love it. Matthew Sutton, do you like the John Wick films? Believe it or not, I haven't seen any. And this is really bad. I really need to rectify this. I went up to my parents over Easter, and my mum, who does not particularly like, violent, fighting sort of films, was really rating them. And I was like, oh, okay. I'll have to watch them if they've even converted you over to this. Oh, David Neighbor, thank you for the 3 bonus features. on the USA Target exclusive Spectre release are from title song to title sequence, The Shadow of Spectre and Writings on the Wall music video. That's interesting because that is one of the more bare bones Bond Blu-ray releases, the Spectre one. I think here it's only got like one documentary on it. I don't even. Does it have the music video on it? I don't think it does. Jake Vidmar, thank you very much. When do you think the Bond game is coming out? That is the biggest tease, isn't it? The EA, not EA, IO interactive game. I think we're still a little while off yet. I think certainly not this year. Possibly next year. But I don't know. I know they posted some kind of financial earnings projection a while ago, and I think the company, because they're not going to be releasing any Hitman games or presumably a Bond game in that time, they kind of predicted that this year was not going to be as financially profitable. And then I can't remember when exactly it was, whether it was next year or even 2025, when they said, "Oh yeah, we'll be making a profit then," presumably on the Bond game. Brendan, thank you very much. Do you think Kingsman is inspired by Roger's Bonds? Absolutely. I think that Matthew Vaughn loves the old school Bond films, and I think those films are, in a way, a love letter. Like I say, I quite like The Golden Circle. I really like the villains in those films. Samuel L. Jackson, Julianne Moore are brilliant villains, the kind of villains that I wished that we'd had in some more modern Bond films, because I really do think that actually Mads Mikkelsen and Javier Bardem were really brilliant villains. Rami Malek, the writing let him down. Christoph Waltz, I think the writing and the performance let him down. And then Dominic Green has just never been, a favorite of mine. I've been meaning to rewatch Quantum of Solace recently because I'm I did rewatch most of the Bond films last year. I was thinking about doing a Bond re-ranking video at the end of last year because I was rewatching so many of them because it was 60th anniversary, so I was really in the mood. But I had a real block when it came to the Craig films, and I think it was because I've been so oversaturated on them because of the build-up to No Time to Die and how protracted that was. That I had to watch. In fact, it was the Mads Mikkelsen film Another Round. I watched that and thought like, oh, actually, yeah, no, I will watch Casino Royale. So I watched that again and loved it. It's an amazing film. But yeah, no, I'm really like, it takes some effort for me now to get into the Craig films. I'm hoping that'll go over time and I'll just be able to like pop them on like I do any other Bond film. But yeah. Oh, Mikey, please do a re-ranking. I will, because it's been so long since I did the last one. And No Time to Die, I feel comfortable now with with how I feel about it and where I think it would sit. So, yeah. Oh, Cephalopod 51, that's very kind of you to say. Thank you. Zach, yes, Everything Everywhere All at Once did end Lawrence of Arabia decade-long run at the top for me, but it took many viewings for me to make that call. Oh, that's interesting. Which is the worst Bond game, 007 Legends or 007 Racing? That's tough. I think I did say it in because I did a video ranking the Bond video games. I think I might have said 007 Legends there. That's the one that's coming to mind now. But again, it's one of those things where you ask a ranking on a different day and it could change. And yeah, I think 007 Legends is worse than 007 Racing, because I can at least give 007 Racing the fact that it, tried to have a original story and they brought back some like surviving Bond villains from the past, like Whisper and, Koskov. Like, that was crazy that they went into that level of minutia with that. So I do have to give 007 Racing some, kudos for that. Chris Nolan Bond movie, a tick or a cross for you? Thank you, Chris Bell. You know what? I think I've kind of come around to the idea now that I would be like, yeah, no, actually, I would actually be okay with that, because he would be a very steady pair of hands. It's going to be good. at the very least. And it'd be interesting to see what his take was. In the past, I used to think, oh, is he a bit of a boring choice because you know exactly what kind of film he's going to make. We've got Inception, we've got Tenet. I could imagine that his Bond film would be something like that. And yet now I'm kind of like, actually, I would just like that to see what his version of that would be like. And, Jordan Saylor, you seeing a few old Bonds in the big screen could change your ranking. Well, it did actually for last year when they re-released them here for the 60th anniversary. License to Kill, seeing that on the big screen was a revelation. I absolutely loved that film on the big screen, and it was such because in the past I've described its look as being like, oh, it feels like a TV film, it feels like Miami Vice kind of thing. Whatever the restoration was, or whatever, or maybe it's just seeing it in the cinema setting, I thought it looked, sounded amazing, super cinematics. Some of those scenes where the tankers are exploding and the walls of flame just like completely covering the cinema screen, I thought was absolutely phenomenal. And Die Another Day as well. I saw Die Another Day on the big screen again, and I had a blast with it. I was completely transported back to being like 12, 13 years old, seeing that film for the first time on the cinema screen, and I just thought it was like, I was sat in the cinema just being like, I'm just having fun. I'm having a great time with this. And that was just nice. Those two were the ones that I saw that I was like, oh, right, these have actually gone up my rankings now. Oh, Carlos, thank you very much. The ending of 007 Legends with the Skyfall DLC missing is pretty epic, isn't it? 007 dies in outer space roll credits. Yeah, I know, right? God, I'm really glad that I got that DLC, actually. I hope my PlayStation 3 still survives, because otherwise, like, that stuff's kind of lost now, isn't it? Like, because you had to... It just shows how, like, behind they were with the game, that, you have to download the last level. It's crazy. Oh, Callum Crayston. Hello, Callum. Very good to hear from you. I'm very well, thank you. I hope you are too. Are you a huge Doctor Who fan? If so, what do you make of Murray Gold coming back to the franchise? Keep up the good work. Funnily, and it's funny you should ask this, because I'm actually not a big Doctor Who fan at all, but I know who Murray Gold is because I watched religiously all of the Christopher Eccleston and the David Tennant tenures. So I do know Murray Gold, and I actually really like him. I actually have a song on my... This is really lame. I have a song on my iTunes that he wrote. God, what's it called? The Angel Put the Devil in Me, from a David Tennant episode where they go to New York and they have this like, Broadway musical number that he wrote. And I really like it. Like I said, I still listen to it now. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to be getting back into it now with Shakti Gatwa as Doctor Who. I think that's a very interesting choice and quite exciting. So I'm probably going to start watching it when it's on when it comes back. I think it's in this year. I think it's later this year. Matthew Sutton, what Bond film would you show to somebody that has never seen a Bond film before to try and get them to love the franchise? Well, first of all, thank you very much, Matthew Sutton. Second of all, this would depend on the person, because my default is to say Casino Royale, Craig, because it is just such a brilliant film and it's quite modern. I still think it holds up. It's like over, well, what is it, 17 years old now? And I think it holds up still incredibly well. If they didn't have the phones that they had in that film, you would think it was, made a couple of years ago. Like, I think it's aged really nicely. There are some Bond films that I would show to, like, I have friends who are, like film geeks like me, so they don't mind watching something from the 70s or the 60s or something. So for that, I would say, Goldfinger, certainly. Spy Who Loved Me, GoldenEye, but again, it depends on what the person's, because I know some people who, I did go to university with someone, I hope he doesn't mind me saying this, my friend Sean, who said that he couldn't, no film that he saw that was made before the Charlton Heston Planet of the Apes he liked. He didn't like anything like that much that came before. He wouldn't watch anything that came out before, but whatever that was, like 1969 or something like that. And I'm the complete opposite. It's like most of my favorite films are from the 50s and 30s. Yeah. But yes, anyway, I really went on a tangent there. Casino Royale. I would start with Casino Royale. Samadia, thank you very much. Xenia Onatop was truly the last great henchman in the series. Dr. Kaufman's role is too small to count, and if you call Renard a henchman, I'll kill you. You saw one of my latest videos, didn't you? There are no great Bond henchmen in the Craig era, are they? I'm thinking now. I know some people like Hinks. I like Dave Bautista, but I don't know if I like Hinks very much. So I might have to agree with you there. Yeah, no, I was thinking about Primo, but no, not Primo. The Bond Experience, David Zaritsky is here. Hello, David. I hope you're well. But people have been asking when we're going to do a next collaboration, and yes, we must organize that soon, because I think the ball is in my court. It's going to be on my channel. We did talk about doing Diamonds Are Forever a little while ago, so yeah, have to do that soon. Ron Ben 25, thank you very much. Recently read an article with Empire. David Fincher said he was approached to direct GoldenEye. Would you like to see him direct a Bond film? Would love that. David Fincher is one of my favorite directors. God, Zodiac, Alien 3 I really like. Like Alien 3 is genuinely I think it's fantastic. Panic Room I really like. Social Network. I think he's brilliant. I think his Bond film would be very different. And I know he doesn't like taking orders from producers and studio executives. So whether or not he would get on with the Broccolis would be yeah. We'd I can't imagine that happening. So yeah. Remy Bien, favorite Simpsons episode? Ooh, that's a good question. It would be one of the earlier seasons. It'd probably be from season 4. I do really like the Union one. Lisa needs braces. Dental plan. That one. Probably be that. Oh, somebody. Oh, you love Alien 2. Oh, Alien 3 too. Oh, that's great. No, I'm always, you don't meet fans of that film very often, so it's nice when you hear someone. Though I do much prefer the longer cut that you get on the Blu-ray, the work print cut. I think that's yeah, the way to watch the film. I think it's available on most of the DVDs and the Blu-rays, so it's very yeah. Billy Mount the Third. Hi, Calvin. How are you doing? I'm very well, Billy. I hope you are too. Oh, great. Alien 3 sucks. That's, I recommend watching the longer version of it, the work print cut. It includes some deleted scenes and whatnot. It makes it much more. It makes the film make sense, which is something. Because I know that the theatrical cut, when I first saw it, I didn't really know what to make of it. Oh, Billy. Speaking of cuts, have you seen the extended cut of Casino Royale? I have. I think it's just a few small bits, isn't it? And I think that here in the UK, we always had the longer cut. I think it was in the US where it was slightly tweaked. I might be wrong on that. Atomic Gaming, what are you drinking? I'm drinking a Jack Daniels and Coke Zero. Cheers. Hope you're having a lovely Saturday. Jordan, my son wants to know, what is your favorite scene in Doctor No? Ooh, that's good, because I don't normally. That's not one of my go-to Bond films, Doctor No. I do only tend to watch it when I watch, I'm watching all the films. I very seldom just put it on in isolation. It would have to. It's got to be the Dent killing, hasn't it? Like with him playing the cards and then Dent comes in, and like that whole thing is just so iconic and so brilliant. Yeah. God, we've been live now for 1 hour and 43 minutes. This is crazy. My voice is starting to go. I think I'll just have to answer a couple more questions and then head off, because I'm yes, I don't want to completely destroy my instrument for the rest of the weekend. Carlos again. Thank you, Carlos. Ever played Broforce? Whenever Double Bro 7 dies and respawns, he's a different actor. All right, I've been making notes of things that I need to look up after this. Broforce is another thing that I clearly need to look up, because that sounds amazing. Florence Pugh as a Bond girl. That would be interesting. I do really like Florence Pugh. I think she's a really good actress. Oh, Daniel, what is Pierce Brosnan like in person? Well, I wouldn't know. I've never met him in the sense of like, hello, how do you do kind of thing. I've just seen him from afar. Not even that far, to be honest, just like a few feet, which is something. But yeah, I've only heard good things about it, much like Roger. I've only heard nice things. The only bad story I've heard about Pierce Brosnan is something that I think actually spins around to a good story. That thing with him and James Corden, if people have heard that, where they were at a U2 concert and Pierce Brosnan was in an area with his friends, and for some reason they went away. And James Corden decided that he was going to move into their area because it was closer to the stage, apparently. So he did that. But then as he did that, Pierce Brosnan, like, you know, moved him, manhandled him, even perhaps allegedly, back to his place. And James Corden doesn't like Pierce Brosnan for that. For manhandling James Corden, I think Pierce Brosnan might be my favorite person in the world. Ali McMurray, are you going to watch the coronation next weekend? I am indeed, yes. I was kind of umming and ahhing about it because I'm not much of a monarchist, if I'm perfectly honest. I think there's something quite sweet and quaint about, having a monarchy, and I think it's part of the character of the country, but I'm not I'm not much of a flag waver for it. And yet, a coronation, like, even my parents haven't, because, Elizabeth obviously went for so long that they'd never seen a coronation in their lifetime. And I kind of think like, oh, actually, that would be interesting to see. Who knows? Like, I'll probably only see another one in my lifetime, maybe. So, yeah, that's fine. Malachaz, fierce Brosnan. Brilliant. Oh, Sasha King, that's very kind of you. Thank you. Oh, and bye, Carlos. Hope you stay shaken and stirred as well. All right. I think I'm going to call it a night there because, well, after I answered this question from Stephanie Myers, you just snuck that one in, Stephanie. Thank you very much. That's very kind. I appreciate this. Thank you very much. Have you ever played the Splinter Cell spy games? I haven't. Those are more games similar to Metal Gear Solid. Those are some of the games that people, and Hitman, actually. Hitman comes up an awful lot. Though I have played a bit of Hitman 2. I need to get into it more. Now that I have emulators on the go, I think this might be my excuse to finally get into these things. But no, I've heard really good things about Splinter Cell. And if anything, I think that the IO Interactive games are going to be taking some, inspiration from those kinds of spy games, from what I've seen of Splinter Cell anyway. Yeah. All right. Well, good night, folks. I'm going to sign off for now. Good night, Deacon. Thanks for joining. Bye, Paul, Omar, Billy. Thank you very much. Thanks, everyone, for joining. This has been really nice. Thank you for enabling my solo drinking and making me feel less solo drinking because there's, people watching. So that's fine. Till next time, Philip. Thank you. Thanks, Madeline. Thank you for sticking around for the whole thing. It's very kind. All right. Have lovely Saturday evenings, everyone. So long. And stay tuned for the incredibly long NightFire video, which is going to be coming very soon. So, yeah. All right. See ya. Have lovely weekends.